Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fourth and Eat. Fred Minnick here, joined by the great Pro Football Hall of Famer, Jared Allen. What's up, brother?
Oh, just living the dream, you know. I had to change my shirt real quick. A little sweaty from mowing the lawn.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the most, you don't really do a lot of movement or exercise when you're mowing the lawn. Just somehow it's sweaty.
Yeah, it's hot. Well, this was with my push mower. So I have a section of my lawn that I can't use my zero turn. So I got to get out there and push mow and then, weed whack and stuff like that. I was doing that. But yeah, you know what? It's always starting to get humid. And you're just sweating.
Yeah, it gets real humid there in Nashville.
Nothing like a little man work to really kick your spring off, if you will.
Yep. Well, speaking of man work, the McDonald CEO, who appears to be a very manly man, I joke.
I'm not gonna lie. When I watched this video, I didn't think that.
Yeah,
that wasn't what crossed my.
I don't even. I was like, this guy cannot be representing McDonald's. Like, he doesn't. Definitely, I need to see some girth. You know,
it proves he doesn't eat the crap he's selling.
He totally doesn't eat the stuff he's selling.
It proves he is like, I'm more of a real estate CEO than I am a food guy. Because they're not food. It's fake food, Fred. It's fake food.
Yep.
Frankenfood.
So, as for those who haven't seen the video, this is a very petite, skinny man. He's got like
Can we put the clip in our bios and links or all that?
Yeah,
nonsense?
We'll do that. We'll do the clip in the bio, or we'll do the link in the bio so you can see it. We do not have the rights to share it, and I don't really feel like getting sued on this podcast. So,
because let's be honest, McDonald's has way more followers and more money than we do.
Oh, absolutely. They could take us out quick. So this guy is like, he basically looks, he looked like Mr. Rogers. Kind of looks like, has this like Mr. Rogers look to him, you know.
Listen, anybody who's listening right now, who just picture a quarter, unless you wear a quarter zip. If you wear a quarter zip.
I'm wearing a quarter zip right now, but I got the Oklahoma State wrestling mask.
You're not wearing your shirt underneath your quarter zip.
I'm not wearing it. I am not. Bare naked
this
here.
Dude was is he wearing a polo with a quarter zip? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
He looks like he could be related to Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
And so, if you're...
No, his neck...
Yeah, but but I'm talking about the look. Like, Peyton's always got a polo and a quarter zip on, I feel like,
Yeah.
So that's what this guy looks like if you don't want to click on the link. And if I'm describing you, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so he picks up this cheeseburger. He's like, oh, well, we've got these nice sesame seeds here. The nice little, and he's holding it like he's afraid of it.
And he's talking about it as if he has no clue. Like he's seeing it for the first time. You're the CEO of McDonald's. He's like, oh, there's like some like sesame seeds or poppy seeds or something like that on the bun. And then we have this arch sauce. Like, come on, dude.
And then he eats it, but he's grabbing it like it's a snake or something that's about to bite him. He's like barely holding it. It's got a little bit of weight, and he takes like a little bitty tiny bite. And then everyone loses their mind over this, saying like, dude, you don't eat McDonald's.
And the best part is when he also described, he's like, we have like the 2 quarter pounders and lettuce, all sorts of good stuff. I'm like, this dude, if I was listening to this, he's like, and then he described it as, oh, it tastes only like McDonald's can.
Yeah.
Why? Like that's not selling anybody.
No.
Like, even if I was a guy who ate McDonald's, which I've never, even back in the day when I was little or whatever, I ate fast food, like a McDonald's burger sent me straight to the restroom.
Yeah.
But I'm like, even if I was someone who'd eaten this, I probably wouldn't eat it afterwards because of the lackluster way he described it. He goes, and it's like, so your arch sauce, meat, and lettuce, that's what you're describing as a bomb burger?
And like everyone started calling him out, like, no way you eat this. So
no inflection in his voice, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. And so he gets called out by everybody.
Only like McDonald's.
And then he goes to Instagram and he does a video and he says, of course I eat at McDonald's. And everyone pointed out, like, notice he said he eats at McDonald's. He didn't say he eats McDonald's food.
Yeah. I sit in there and I bring my own chicken sandwich.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I was funny. And then obviously the Burger King guy just dives in there and gets a face full.
Yeah, he looks like a dude that, I'm not saying he eats Burger King every day, but he legit eats his food.
Yeah, maybe. Or he was just trying to one up McDonald's and he probably vomited right afterwards.
What if he had like a man consultant come in and say, all right, You got to look this way. You got to turn this way. You got to show your broad shoulders here while you're eating, and you have to hold it like that. You know, they paid for
Yeah.
a consultant to say, like, you have to eat like
Oh,
this.
100%. 100%. Because that's what corporate America does. They have, I mean,
Mhm.
they'll have a meeting about a meeting, and then they got to consult with somebody before they can do something. And they're like, this is our chance to snag like 0.5% of the population we're not poisoning already, and we can
Yep.
still get to them.
You know who could win it
Wake up,
all?
America. Disgusting.
Who could win
By
it
the way,
all in
speaking of
this?
disgusting and fast food, and like we were talking about the executive order that's like kind of giving glyphosate, Bayer,
Right,
like
right.
defense protection. So there's a massive. Right now, I'm like 90% there. Trying to kids got sports and stuff. April 27th, there's a big hearing in the Supreme Court with Bayer, and they're trying to get EPA protections and stuff like that. So there's a massive rally outside of the Supreme Court, and I think I'm going to take my kids to it. My wife and my kids. April 26th. Dude, I'm going to show up and show them part of the American process.
Okay.
How to peacefully protest something and to stand up to corporate America who is trying to infringe on our rights, our health rights. Like, you can't hide behind these laws that continue to poison people. I mean, I shared a clip with you the other day, right? Some people sitting outside of Chick-fil-A talking about the ingredients that are in the bun. There's 82 ultra processed ingredients, in their bun. 82, 16 of them derived from like petroleum jelly. You know what I mean? Again, I don't get it, Fred. My wife makes bread, water, flour, sourdough starch, right? You know what I mean? And some salt. Like, there's like 3, 4. And if you use yeast, which you got to use, a lot of times you got to use instant yeast for like sandwich bread, right? Or just yeast for sandwich bread. That's 3 or 4 ingredients, man. 82 ingredients. Get out of here with this nonsense.
Well, the thing is, though, if they keep it, on the shelf or it gets stuck in a warehouse and it's there for 3 years, it's still good.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's definitely a price efficiency model.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole purpose of it.
Very scalable, I'll tell you that. Everybody knows,
Jared,
petroleum products scale way better than
all of
natural
this
food.
always originated, all the stuff we're at right now with food, all of it originated because farmers lost crops in the 20s and 30s, and they were trying to find ways to, keep the food supply going. So they would create hybrid grains, and then they would create GMO grains. All of it was always an effort to do better by the farmers. And then when there would be too much, they're like, well, we got all this stuff, we got to hold it longer. And then the preservatives world and all these additional things started coming on. And
I mean, Rockefeller started figuring out ways to do things with gasoline, petroleum byproducts, right? I mean, plastics are from, there's a laundry list of things that, have come on and made the world more convenient. And that's the problem, right? It's like,
exactly,
there's a convenience factor, and we now lean so heavily, and these are my personal opinions, we lean so heavily on convenience that we've lost the tradition of way our forefathers did it, and I get it. It's a fast-paced world depending on where you live, but we only get this life once. And then, and you look at the fiscal responsibility, you look at, we're at $4 trillion. I think we spend $4 trillion on healthcare, right? You look at the amount of financial burden it puts on. People don't ever equate it to what they put in their body or what they do. Cigarettes are the only one to do it. You start smoking when you're 13 and you're 65, you get lung cancer. The doctor, it's because you've been smoking for 45 years or whatever it is, right? But people don't equate that to what you put in your body over a lifespan. And these food companies, they find ways to make it cheaper. They find ways to add filler. They hide behind the generally recognized as safe laws, right? And they say, oh, well, just a little bit of poison's okay. It's just not the way I like to roll. But anyways, you pay now, you pay later. That's the motto I always say.
Absolutely. But at the same time, like these health organizations will go after alcohol as being like as something that causes cancer and everything. And those studies go back and forth. One day it causes cancer, the next day it's good for your heart. We've had so many.
I struggle with this sometimes. I really do. As someone who's in the whiskey world, right? Who enjoys beer, enjoys a bourbon, enjoys a glass of wine. I mean, just like anything, I mean, you have to have moderation, right? I mean, you could be fully organic and be glutton and be obese, and you know what I mean. You could be a lot of bad things. Everything has to be portion size, portion control as well. But as you know, in the distilling process, all impurities are filtered out. So you're literally left with a pure essence, it's an alcohol, obviously, a pure ethanol, but you're left with a pure product. And then obviously your white oak and stuff like that. I know last time I checked, they're not dousing Roundup on white oak trees. Maybe they are,
Yeah.
who knows? But I look at traditions and models, and I will say this: there's certain industries that hold true to those models, and the in the alcohol world is being one of them, especially the spirits world, right? I mean, the
Mhm.
spirit world, bourbon especially. I mean, there is so much regulation around keeping the traditions of the old and making sure you can't cheat the system, right? You can't add dyes anymore. You can't add color, and that's what gets me, Brad. To be honest, like there's so much regulation about keeping alcohol health, safe, right? With no dyes, no colors, no artificial this, no nothing like this. Yet you can put all these synthetic dyes into the food which you're ingesting, and our kids are ingesting every single day.
Well, I got a simple explanation for that for you. The lobbies are bigger,
Yeah, yeah.
It's that
That
simple.
makes sense. Yeah. Well, I mean, trust me, I'm glad they do that. I mean, look at people from the old gut rot days, right? I mean, you sit down and have a drink, and the guy croaks because it's
Yeah,
it's freaking
they would put sulfuric acid
yeah.
in whiskey, and and there was all these false medicinal claims. There's a guy named Duffy's Pure Malt Whiskey. He claimed that he could cure cancer, gout, the flu. You drank his whiskey, he lived to be 162 years old, and he claimed that he could cure ugliness.
Yeah, well, he did that. He did that for sure.
These back in the old days, the
In the
whiskey
old
salesman.
days, hey, he was like, man, the population's getting low. We need to cure ugliness. Everybody get drunk. But anyways, I don't even know where we were going with that one. But
I don't either, but I just saw an article in Spirits Business, talking about your launch of your bourbon. That's congratulations. That's a
thank you very
big,
much. Yeah,
it's a
it's
big.
been very low key so far. Again, the very, 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 very small batch of 228, kind of a collector's item of what we served at the Hall of Fame party, which you were so gracious to be at and host
Mhm.
a little segment. And I'm not sure if we've talked about on this, but I'll tell a funny story from that event. Fred was generous enough to bring some amazing bourbon and whiskey, and do a little tasting for people. And I told Fred, I said, make sure you're having a good time. Like, you're not there to work; you're there as my friend. He wanted to do it as a gift, kind of to me. It was great. It was fantastic. A whole bunch of people were excited about it. One of my best friends in the world from growing up uh, knows nothing of bourbon, knows nothing of Mr. Fred Minnick. Thought Fred was the bartender. Fred leaves, and he's like, "Man, I need a drink." So he jumps behind the bar. He starts pouring drinks of like the top-notch bourbon. Fred came back, got a little salt. Fred got yelled at, but you can't leave your post. He's like, "I'm not the bartender.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" And then so I didn't find out about it until like 2 days later. My buddy was like, "Hey, I think I got the bartender in trouble." I was like, "What are you talking about? There's no bartender at the bourbon bar." I was like, "You mean Fred?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't know his name." I was like, "Fred Minnick." I was like, "Google it." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "Dude, I'm a complete a-hole."
Yeah. So this lady like who had the facility or runs the event or something, was the event coordinator that you hired. She comes over to me and starts yelling at me. And she's like, "You're going to cost me my liquor license. No one's allowed to be back there. We're, on thin ice as it is with you doing this at all." I was like, "It's okay. I know, I know most of the people around here. This is not, the alcohol police are not coming in here to shut it down. I assure you, you're going to be okay." But
Yeah, that was
and by the way, she was like 28, so
yeah,
she's kind of like, I remember being that age and having a job where everything hinges upon every single moment, right? And you're
yeah.
like, you gotta, it's black and white. And she was like that. She was just doing her job.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought it was funny when I heard about it. I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." I was like, "This is
Yeah.
great."
So, and I was trying to talk to Dick Vermeil, and
Yeah,
she's like over here like yelling at me, and I'm like, Vermeil's like giving me his card with his about his winery and everything. I'm like, man, I'm trying to talk to like one of my favorite coaches of all time.
yeah.
This woman's yelling at me.
Oh, it's great.
It was
So,
crazy.
so when you go to fullridebourbon.com, and you could buy that particular, you can buy one of 228. I don't know how many are left out there. I got to go back and check. But you'll have that story with it. You'll know that while that bourbon was being drank at our thing, you know what? Fred Minnick was trying to talk to to Coach Vermeil and getting yelled at for my buddy stealing, replacing him as the bartender.
Yeah. So
But yeah, so it's been good. It's been quiet. We're really excited about, like our real launch, so to speak, is coming here in probably next month. We just we're in the process of bottling our batch 2, which is going to be 115 proof. Take it down a little bit. We added a little bit more wheat, and actually, I think I got to get the blending notes, but I think the barrels that we're choosing, this is going to be almost a 10-year across the board. So, our first one was an 8-year, 13-year blend. This one I think is going to be almost a 10-year across the board, and so we're excited about that. So very similar taste profile to that first one you tasted, but you know what? I took your notes to heart and added a little more wheat to it to really kind of soften up that grain, the graininess on the front end.
that's
And
great.
and I think it's going to be fantastic. Now I'm wrong. I like the 122. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it in a bottle. So, but that's the cool part about this, Fred. And I think this is what people who don't like know, right? When you get into the world and you start getting into the minute details, you start figuring out. You're like, to the artistry behind this. And I think that's like when I read your books, obviously we've been friends now for a while, and I pick your brain, like you strip away the drinking aspect, or as you said, we're tasters, right? Because you're not sitting there and you're not drinking. We're not trying to get buzzed. Like, you're enjoying the artistry of the making process, and that's why I only will drink the premium brands and premium, even they might not be a premium brand, but a premium bottle of somebody that, hey, they're doing it the right way. Because when you can take a higher proof whiskey and make it drink like a lower proof, but with all this flavor, right? And then fine tune those little notes to make it to try to make it. And everybody's palate's different, so you're never going to please everybody. But that's what I love about it. I love like the science, and the artistry behind it, where you're trying to create this flavor bomb that appeals to most people, and you're trying to keep it in this realm of. I was like when you heat, like if you toast your spices, you're gonna release flavors, right, when you're cooking. And that's why I kind of like how I equate high proof bourbon. It's like toasting your spices, but you don't want to taste ethanol. So you gotta balance it so it's really refreshing. So that's what I love about it. That's what we're trying to do. And I think this next batch is going to be great. And that one's going to be obviously cheaper because we're going to. We're making definitely more of that. It's still a very small batch, only 5,000 cases total of that one. And we're excited to release it here come April and lead up into O&D and see where it goes.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all that. We've got a lot of things moving in the NFL right now.
Well, speaking of, and I wanted to touch on this real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but we were
Yeah.
talking about Coach Vermeil, and
Yeah.
one of my favorite coaches of all time, and one of my all-time favorite coaches that I never got to play for, Lou Holtz, passed away.
Yeah.
So, to Lou Holtz's family, man, sorry you lost such a great human being. I got to interact with Lou a few times, and what a special person. That was my dream, to play for Notre Dame football, or to go play for Lou Holtz. And then the reality was my grades sucked, and Lou Holtz wasn't there when I was in college. But did you ever get to cross paths with Lou?
No, I never met him. I was on a set once where he was there, but I never met him. But
Yeah, he was.
it's kind of one of those where I was like, I'd like to go over and shake his hand and say hi, but he.
And the only few times I met him, you know what? Here's my takeaway, and then everybody that I know that knew him, obviously better. He was, what you saw was exactly what he was. Very genuine human being, right? Some people, like, there's this persona, and then you meet him, you're like, I wasn't, don't meet your heroes type of moment. He was not that guy. Just will sit and chat with you about life, about football, about everything. And yeah, it's a sad day. I'm obviously 89 years old, but man, more people should be like Lou Holtz.
And he also was like, he got a lot of people impersonating him, because he had a lot of little quirky styles, and he always took that well. I always respected like how he took that. And even today, like I was listening to Dan Patrick, and they were wanting to like do some of their Lou Holtz impersonations, and they're like, no, not today. Let's not do it today.
Yeah.
So
Well, I look at it as impersonation is the best form of flattery.
yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if some people will do it with malice, but if you're impersonating somebody with love in your heart, then, why wouldn't you laugh about it, right?
Yeah. He always seemed like he took everything well. It was a great coach. Great coach.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic coach. Well, speaking of, I mean, how many new coaches in the NFL? My goodness.
Well, there has been it's definitely moved a lot, and like the position that causes all the coaches to leave or get fired is quarterback.
Yep.
And Kyler Murray has been cut. Aaron Rodgers still doesn't have a contract, or he's supposedly married, but I don't think anyone's actually seen a picture of his wife.
I heard they
You
met
know,
in a dark retreat.
yeah.
Yeah, good for Aaron. If you keep your marriage secret, that's great. But in today's day and age, I mean, obviously there's a picture out there somewhere. I don't know how they're keeping it. So hush, hush.
Yeah, it was confirmed by Fox. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, hey, good on him. But I mean, he did all right. I thought he was all right with the Steelers. Here's the deal. I don't know that in today's world, if you want to get to the next level, I mean, there's so many good young quarterbacks out there. And, I think, but again, I don't know. Here's what I think, Aaron. I think Aaron's highly talented, right? He'll be in the Hall of Fame without question. Could he play 1 or 2 more years? Probably. But here's what I think you need. You need to be a run heavy. He now becomes a play action passer. You know what I mean? And I think he would do outstanding with that. I think if you put him in an offense that had a great offensive line, but what happens is a lot of times these offensive coordinators, you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and you have Aaron Rodgers who wants to probably throw the ball 30 times a game. You get into these modes where you rely so much on his arm. I mean, look at that playoff game, right? I mean, they were running the ball off tackle for like 8 yards a clip. And next thing you know, but throw on first down. Oh, now we got to throw on second down. I think if you could get him into a situation where you have a strong run balance, strong run game, then yeah, I think he'd be highly successful. And and look what the Seahawks did, right? Seahawks lived behind that O-line, played great defense, ran the crap out of the ball, and asked Sam Darnold, at times to have to take over the game and win, but that wasn't his main job. So I think if you put Aaron in that situation, he could probably win another Super Bowl. But at what cost, right? And then you got to figure out these moving parts. Now, again, what teams are looking at Kyler Murray right now and be like, can we resurrect him into Sam Darnold?
Well, I think he has so much negativity on him from like his off season and like how he conducted himself during season. I can't see a team believing that he's Sam Darnold.
No, that's the other thing. Like, this world is actually a small world, right? And I'm not in the NFL world anymore, but I know a lot of people that are. And you hear a lot of saying, and again, I don't ever like saying negative things about anybody, from a preparation football standpoint. Everybody's got their own quirks, they're going to do it, right? And if you don't experience it firsthand. But what I hear is there's a lack of maturity, right, in how he approaches the game. And again, whether that's from being coddled in college, being coddled through the pros, I don't know. At some point, you got to decide that you want to be the best in the NFL. And at that position, you have to decide that you want to be the best ever, hands down, and be willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And I don't know that everybody has that. I don't know that everybody has that mentality.
But if you still like take a look at the quarterbacks out there, I mean,
He's got more potential than.
Yeah, I'm taking him over Geno Smith.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Geno had a good little run, but again, then look what happened with Geno in Oakland, or Las Vegas. Is again, he has a Pro Bowl year, comes out, had a couple good years in Seattle, and then they put a whole bunch on his shoulders and ask him to do more than he probably should have, right? And then the real person comes out. You can get exposed quickly. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the kid has talent. I mean, the guy, just from an athletic standpoint alone, he creates challenges and matchups. Now you got to find somebody that can use that to their advantage. You got to have a great coaching system with that. And then you got to find something that he could buy in, and maybe getting cut is that humbling thing that says, hey, I need to wake up and go out there. And now I want to prove everybody wrong and prove everybody why I was a top pick.
So you got Kirk Cousins, you got Aaron Rodgers, you got Kyler Murray. You got
if anybody pays Kirk Cousins, he should retire. Go take over the desk job at CBS.
You think Kirk Cousins needs to retire?
I don't think he needs to. Yeah, if someone's going to pay him, go play. But I think it's proven. I don't think he's not going to be the guy that wins the Super Bowls. My point being is, with some of these older quarterbacks, you got to, is it worth putting the money and resources into a younger guy that could potentially be somebody? Or are you looking at a stopgap? And the reality is, Falcons were looking for a stopgap, and that didn't work for them. Minnesota was the same way. Minnesota, when we brought him over from from Washington,
Washington. Yep.
you know, they thought he could be the guy, and he just it wasn't. Like we didn't have successful playoff runs, and there's some guys that's just the history, right? You know, they're better than most, but at the end of the day, I mean, a franchise. Actually, that's am I trying to be better than most, or am I trying to win? Right? Because I mean, there's only one team that actually wins it every year, and everybody else is chasing that team, and you're trying to figure out those parts. And so much time in the NFL, you see that they just in the same way with coaches, right? They recycle the same coaches, thinking, oh, this is going to be the team that he can put together, and then they hire the same coaching staff, and the same thing. We got to keep taking this quarterback. One of these days, this quarterback's going to hit for us, you know. And it's like it's rare. It's rare that the Sam Darnold of the world is rare. A lot of people are who they are, and you know, so. At some point, go out and find some young talent and train them.
If there is one quarterback that is in this free agency market that I think could be the Sam Darnold, sadly, I've done events with him, and that's Tua Tagovailoa. If he just, you just worry about him, but he has it. His
head, you know, for sure. Like he was a winner in college. He's shown signs of greatness. He obviously gets hurt. The concussion thing is something you got to think about. But I also look at him like, again, he's had a ton of coaching. He hasn't had a lot of consistency, right? So everybody wants to blame him, but maybe McDaniels and him just don't mesh, right? So yeah, I do think he is an absolute. Problem is his health, right? Mm-hmm. Staying healthy is the real deal. So you need to put him in an offense where, again, you have a great running back, great run game like they did at Alabama. Let him play action. Have a great tight end. Let him throw to his tight ends. But who I really, really like is Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Mac did a great job I liked Mac Jones coming out of Alabama. I thought, I'll be honest, I thought we should have jumped up and taken him at 16 when we were in Minnesota. But I believe that's where we picked it that year. But I mean, look what he did. Look what he did when Purdy was out. I mean, you put that guy in a system. I mean, come on, you're playing for Belichick your rookie year. Yeah, he has a really good year, and then you're down because Belichick can be hard to play for. Belichick is more of a vets guy, right? Because, you got to be able to take that tough coaching, and some guys just can't. And then if you don't have a good staff around you, and then look at it, he gets out to San Fran. He's got fantastic offensive-minded coach, and dude killed it. So I'm hoping Minnesota grabs him. I'm hoping we snag Mac Jones somehow. I think he'd be at least he's going to give you a solid 2. Right?
So you done on McCarthy?
I'm not done on him. I just don't think he's done enough to solidify a starting job. I don't know if the kid can stay healthy. And I'll be honest, the whole I turn into 9 crap, like just be badass all the time. Why do you have to have an alter ego? So these guys got to stay healthy. That's reality. I mean, McCarthy shows flashes of being really good and doing some really cool things, and that's why I was high on him. He's young, and last year was basically his rookie year. But I look at Justin Jefferson, and I'm like, we are wasting one of the greatest NFL talents in a long time. We are wasting that opportunity,
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need our O-line needs to stay healthy over there. We just got to get that guy the ball. Get in the ball 10 times a game. Get our tight end the ball 10 times a game. Run the ball the rest. That's all I'm asking for. That's all I'm asking. So I don't know, but I think we got to have more depth there because, I don't even know who we had towards the end. I mean, when he was hurt, I mean, we had guys I never even heard of playing.
So the New York Jets just traded probably their best edge rusher, Jermaine Johnson, to the Tennessee Titans for Devontae Sweat. And it's kind of like, if there is a team that needs an edge rusher, it's probably the one with, Allen and the the New England Patriots with their pass offense. Like I don't understand what the Jets were doing there.
Well, I mean, the Jets they're in full rebuild mode, right?
Yeah, but they just traded him. They traded him for a nose tackle.
I mean, you gotta have interior, right? So they're trying to. So obviously, Coach Glenn is trying to build his defense from the inside out. So offensive defensive line is something you can't. I don't know. I mean, they're priceless in my opinion. And then if you have especially if you have an interior guy that can get you the quarterback. Like that opens up a lot. Like you need to have interior pressure. You have to in this day and age. So I think if you got a guy that can get interior pressure, and then you could build it. And if you're hoping to get some guys in the draft, the Jets. Sadly, I mean they're. I don't know what I mean, but then you got guys like Sauce Gardner. You got some pieces, But didn't they just trade him away too?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. And then who's the other Wilson? Is that their wide receiver?
Garrett Wilson. Yep.
Garrett Wilson. Yeah, so you got some talent, but they desperately need a quarterback there.
Yeah.
I don't know who they take this year. Other than Mendoza, I don't know if there's a guy that's going to come in and make that big of an impact. And then I don't know.
They deserve Beck from Miami. They deserve him.
Yeah, but he's not going to come in. Beck is going to get smashed in the NFL.
I know. That's why I say he's perfect for the Jets. He brings his porn girlfriend there and has a whole splash and then gets smashed.
Oh yeah, they're just going to keep repeating that. So if I'm the Jets, I actually spend some money in the free agency and go try to get it. Maybe you get a Mac Jones, right? But you got to invest in the coaching around that. So who's their offensive coordinator? I don't even know who their offensive coordinator is now.
I don't either.
So maybe
Johnson reunites with Solid. I think that makes the Titans very formidable. I think that's a big move.
Yeah, I think the Titans are in the right move, but then you need players. So you've Cam Ward's your guy.
Since you're there, do you go hang out with them at all?
I don't. Now I know this new staff. I know Coach Slaw through like Jay Glazer and the GM through Jay Glazer. We haven't met in person, but some text message exchange. But I like his mentality, right? And so I think him learning from being with the Jets is that, again, he's got to focus on his defense, right? I always tell coaches, like, don't dance with the girl that got you there. Dance with the girl you brought. So if you're a defensive guy, you focus on defense, then you go out and hire the best offensive minds you can. So if I'm him, I'm going to go out and hire whatever offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach that it can maximize Cam Ward. Cam Ward's my guy, so what do we have to do with Cam Ward? We got to protect him, and he's got to speed up his process, right? The most sack guy means you're holding the ball too long, and your offensive line is no good. Oh, you could help your offensive line by speeding up your quarterback's process, and you can help your quarterback by upgrading your offensive line and then your run game. So I think if he could focus on a staff that can manage those two things, and then he can piece the defense together. You see what he does everywhere he goes defensively. I mean, he's got studs.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating. I think Solid never got he lost Rodgers that year with the Achilles in the first play or the first series.
Yeah, that's brutal. I mean, that's a different team. If Aaron's healthy that year,
yeah.
So
they were good on defense.
Yeah, they were stacked, and they still got some of those pieces. That's what I'm saying. Like if I'm Coach Glenn, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do? We do not need another young quarterback.
He's thinking he needs to take a nap during the combine. That's what he's thinking.
Just guys, we're gonna actually get rid of all of our draft picks and just go free agency. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna sell all of our.
Yeah, you saw that, right? He just straight up took a nap in the middle of the combine.
I don't blame him. That combine is brutal. That combine is brutal. As a player, you want to do that. I can imagine as a coach just sitting there like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's got to be boring. But talking about the offseason, like you were traded, you went through all this. What's it like as a player? To go through that? Are you talking to your agent all the time? Are you like,
yeah. So, I mean, every trade that I had, I initiated, right. And then I got to go where I wanted, which was great. There's a lot of moving parts. So the biggest thing is when you're traded or you're going to a new team, and obviously it's, you have to try to, so for me, at least, like I'm trying to recreate my processes, right. Cause my processes are what, that's how we get you successful. So it's like, hey, all right, I want to make sure the staff is obviously the staff is good. I get along with the coaches, those kind of things. And sometimes if you're traded, you don't really have those, you don't get those moments like in free agency where you can go kind of interview them as well. And then so you're just trying to get in, you're trying to get settled as fast as you can. So like when I went to Minnesota, Brad asked me I wasn't usually an OTAs guy, right? And off-season workouts. So Brad asked me if I would just be up there. Obviously I was the new shiny toy, the new big, they gave up a bunch of draft picks for me. So I was like, yeah, I'll be up there, through April. But then it's like, at some point I got to get back and deal with my trainers and do my routine and get ready for the season. So I was in Minnesota, but the biggest thing for me was getting settled, right? So making sure getting a house, getting, that settled in, getting my routine back into the, to and from the facility, getting to know your teammates, spending some time with them because most of them are there. So those are the kind of little things that are going through your mind. And then obviously when I left in free agency, when your wife and when you're married and you have kids, I was single then, that's a whole nother ball game, right? So luckily my wife was fantastic. And when I went to Carolina, the team was fantastic, helping take care of them. But, I was out there. We got to get a rental house going. You got to get the kids, school settled. You got to get there. So life, that's the biggest part, in my personal opinion, is trying to get your life settled so you can
Mm.
solely focus on work, and then trying to recreate those same routines and formulas that have made you successful to get you wherever you're going to go. And I think that's sometimes why you see a dip. Guys' whole world changes. Your coaching staff might change. Now you're getting coached different. Maybe your strength coach is different. Maybe your strength coach is riding you and not really wanting you to work out the certain way you did. Like, the same way when I was in Chicago. I signed with Chicago free agency. We got there. I was doing his OTAs. My wife was pregnant with our second. And so we're trying to, get life settled. I'm in there. You got, the strength coach is like, hey, you should be doing this. We need to do this work. And I'm like, dude, I don't need to work out. I'm not on the opposite program. I'm on my own deal. Like, so you're trying to appease, and that's where happened, and ended up blowing my L5 out, trying to appease my strength coach, And so those are the difficulties you face. That you're trying to recreate the same environment that you had, that you were comfortable in. And, if you can get there in like a free agency or you're traded in the off season, it's much easier because then you start the season. But like a mid-season trade, man, it's tough because you're trying, you got a game that next week. Or next thing you know,
Yeah.
you went from living in your house to a hotel room and you're not really sure how long you're going to be there.
So when you were traded from Kansas City to the Vikings to Panthers to Chicago. I got that?
Nope. So I asked to be traded to Minnesota. So traded to Minnesota from Kansas City. And the reason I had to be traded there because my contract was up, but I was under the franchise tag, right? So they were going to franchise tag me. So the only way out of that is what they call a sign and trade, right? So I had to go sign a deal, and then the Vikings, because the Chiefs could have franchise tag me. So in the NFL, you're actually not.
Was it the like one where you sign it and they have to match it if they want to keep you?
No, you work the deal out. So yeah, I basically signed the deal with Kansas City, and then it gets traded to the Vikings via compensation. But so in the NFL, you're not actually an unrestricted free agent until year 5, right? So I had a 3-year deal my rookie year, played that out. They hit me with the first and third round tender, right? So they had to pay me X amount, but if somebody wanted me, they'd have to give up a first and third round pick. For my 4th year. So then I played out. So that made me a restricted free agent, right? So then my 4th year, now I'm a restricted free agent. The Chiefs, which basically, again, now they can't tender me at that point, but they can franchise tag me. So they were going to franchise tag me, and so I convinced them to trade me, and we were having those negotiations. But then because I'm restricted, that means whoever team acquires me has to give up compensation to the Chiefs. So then now fast forward, I played my whole 6 years out in Minnesota. I hit free agency, so I signed with Chicago in free agency. And then I was there. The whole staff got fired. John Fox getting brought in, and the whole defense has shifted. They went to a 3-4, and I love Fangio and I love John Fox and Ryan Pace and that crew. But I asked them if they would. I knew I was going to retire after that year, and so my second year in Chicago, I asked them to trade me to Carolina, and they did, and we ended up going on a nice run and get to play in the Super Bowl. So I finished in Carolina actually.
Okay, so I had it mixed up. Some podcast partner I am. Don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. Hey, listen, 4 teams. I get it. I stopped counting after 2. I was like, whatever. The back 2 don't.
Was there was there ever another team that that you were close to signing with?
Yeah, Tampa. So in free and before I went to Minnesota, Tampa with Coach Gruden was on my list. And then in free agency, actually, I thought I was signing with Seattle. That's where I thought I was going. And we were trying to get the deal done. And then Chicago came in. I tell you, it was the first time I ever took the money. They made me an offer so good I couldn't say no, and it was structured beautifully to where I knew I could, basically get paid for 3 and only have to play 2. And so it was one of those deals where like, all right, let's do it. I would have go back and played for Seattle. I mean, we both lost in a Super Bowl. They lost the year before in the Super Bowl, and then I ended up losing with Carolina the following year in the Super Bowl. But I just think I would have been able to achieve. I really wanted to get to 150 sacks, playing the Super Bowl. And I just think that organization was really cool. Coach Carroll, man, it was awesome. And literally, it was a matter of not being able to get to the numbers we wanted to get to, and the Chicago came in when we were still trying to work with Seattle, and made me an offer, and it was like, gotta say, I actually saw John Snyder like the following year at the Super Bowl that year. He was in Arizona, and I was like, man, I should have been playing with you guys. And he was like, if you would have said no to that deal, I would have strangled you myself.
No.
But yeah, that was, and then Denver actually in free agency. That's where I was supposed to go to Denver. So it's funny. The 2 teams I actually thought I was going to One won the Super Bowl against me in Carolina, and the other one lost the Super Bowl in New England that year, the first year of free agency. But I originally, Denver had offered me out the gate in that no tampering area, but I wanted to get up there and go meet them. I was like, I just told him, I was like, I got to go up there and meet the coaches to make sure, because they kind of played that hybrid, that Von Miller. And then DeMarcus Ware got released from the Cowboys. And I was like, Ware fits perfectly with Denver. Ware's going to Denver. Pep went up to Seattle, or Pep went up to Green Bay. And so I was like, I knew Seattle or Chicago was going to do something, and those ended up in Chicago.
Probably the last great era of defense was that. You
Yeah, it
played
was.
in it,
Although I don't know. I enjoyed watching that Seattle defense this year.
Yeah, but they still, they especially in the Super Bowl, I felt like the referees kept those hankies in the pocket a little bit, because some of those hits, it was great. It was great watching those interior linemen just move the Guardian cap guard for New England. Like, he was just a little.
Did you see
nothing.
that? Did you see the bull run that their left tackle got pancaked on? Oh, he got pancaked so bad. I was like, ooh.
I mean,
he owns that man right now. He owns him.
That was.
Well, let me ask you this: since we're talking about mindsets of trades and football, stuff like that. Obviously some chaos going on in the world right now with us being, let's just call it what it is. We're at war with Iran, and I don't know if it's a war.
Yeah.
We're kicking Iran's butt right now. So what is the mindset for a soldier? Getting ready. You may not be on that frontline deployment, but you're sitting back, and your unit could be getting called. I mean, there's a war right now, and it seems to be kind of ever changing, right? It's kind of one of those, ever escalating, and things it's very fluid. So what is a veteran's mindset when something like this kicks off?
Well, first of all, your leadership should be communicating with you, daily, if not hourly, and everything. There should be especially today, there's got to be an incredible practice of operational security. So everything that you hear and that you learn, you've got to find a way to, keep that secret, because between this and like everyone on social media and everyone who knows you wanting to know what's going on, you simply cannot talk about it. And I just don't know. I just don't know how much that is preached upon in today's military, because I feel like I see like a new reel of someone like going through something in the military. And so I think my first thought about this particular conflict is that I wonder about operational security. Like, I wonder about, like, the old saying, like, loose lips sink ships.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I worry about,
And as we found out, though, torpedoes also sink ships still.
That is, by God.
Who's using torpedoes still?
Yeah. So
I shouldn't be laughing. I take war very serious. Obviously, a lot of family fought in many, many conflicts. There's some things, and I'm one of those persons that when I see something kind of crazy, I just chuckle and laugh. Yeah, I can only imagine, what it's like on the other side of that, right? But obviously, it's one of those things. But to see the imagery, like, these aren't things that you would see back in the days. That's the other thing, right? Like, so you're preparing and you're seeing what's going on. Like, war is conflicts now are so visual and so public. And when I went on
everyone has, there's a device everywhere recording everything.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and you see certain things and you're just, wow. But then, so how do you prepare yourself? Like, so you're sitting there, let's say, okay, there's a chance your unit gets called up. Are you going in, even like you said, you're communicating with your leadership hourly, weekly, daily? You've got to really rely. Are you going into a mindset? Are you starting to compartmentalize? Are you starting to say, okay, I need to get it into work?
No, because there's so much, everyone sees the battles, but no one sees the 6 months of waiting on that ship for those guys to have any kind of execution of combat. Like, war is it's 5 seconds of something happening and 6 months of sit around and waiting.
Preparing, right?
Yeah. And so, like, you really have to, like, focus on your training and leadership wise. We're in a time now where you have people in uniform protesting. While they're in uniform, there was just a Marine who interrupted the Congress chambers and tried to protest about it. And that's simply, we're not, if you're in uniform, you don't have freedom of speech. You're not under the Constitution. You're under the UCMJ, which is, Uniform Code of Military Justice. And, so those are all things that I didn't ever have to deal with. Like, it was like, we there were people who would get, and this happens in every war. There's a warning order comes out, and suddenly they have a broken arm or a broken ankle, or their five wives are pregnant, and they're the only person who can support them. Like, that shit happened a lot.
Yeah.
And but the people in the military right now have so much outside noise and have so much influence onto them. Like, if I'm in a command situation or if I'm in an NCO situation, my first goal is to block out all of that and get their mind focused on their job. So as like an NCO, which is what I was, that would be my very first thing that I would be focusing on, because everybody wants to turn, whatever it is going on into a political situation.
Yeah.
We don't have any say in that.
No, it's your job. You don't get, whoever's elected, that's your commander in chief, that's your coach. You got to do your job. And that's why I was scared. I'm like, is there a small sense of excitement? Like, hey, it's game day. Like, this is what we trained for. Or is it a complete rush of nerves? Like, holy crap, this is what we trained for. I never thought I would see this day.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the same as going on the mat for a match, or like that requires like instant adrenaline. Like, it's if adrenaline happens and then you have to wait 6 weeks. It's like
adrenaline happens, then you have a 14-hour flight.
Yeah, I mean, to explain the military, the best way to explain it is like, hurry up and wait, and then you're getting shot at. It's like there's moments of like intensity, like that's constant, and then like you are just waiting, and it's boring as all can be. And I think that's a lot of. Now, what has as and always will bug me is how our society reacts toward people who serve, and now like that, because we're connected worldwide on social media, the people who have social media who are our enemies out there are bleeding into our feeds.
Yeah.
And that's really hard for me to personally grasp. And then you have people, and this is in the sports community, who are trying to like make jokes, and this is one that popped up from NFL memes on Twitter, which is a very popular Twitter account. And it says, breaking news. Obviously, it's a parody, and it has ESPN underneath it. It says, breaking: the United States military is sending Geno Smith to the Middle East to help overthrow the Iranian government. And I think, that a lot of people got a lot of laughs out of that. People thought that was funny. I'm like, and this came on the same day that we lost 4 service members. And I'm
Timing.
like, horrible timing. And I just don't feel like that, war is anything to joke about. Like, if you're in the middle of it, you end up with a really weird sense of humor, and you do a lot of dumb stuff. And it's different.
Well,
Maybe
I think it's certain things that it's just like a locker room, right? Like, if you're experiencing, you're part of it, you have every right to process it however you feel, whether it's laughing about it, jokes, right? You can do whatever. But I think, if you're an outsider, like you said, I think there's times, obviously I'm a big fan of comedy, but again, right, there's timing, and it happens to be the day we lost service members, or it happens to be the day, and you're like, and I've always never liked the combination where people, refer to like football as a battlefield. You know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah,
there's literally a 99.9% chance I'm coming off that field. I'm not dying. You know what I mean? We're not talking life or death, and, so I don't like the comparison. I mean, I get why they do it, because you're literally, 2 teams going at it, fighting hard, this, that, and the other. But the reality is, what our men and women in uniform do is far more important and far more real life consequences. So yeah, I think as a civilian, I try to approach a lot of that with a little bit of humility and stuff like that. And like I said, even in these games where, we're clearly, I'm patriotic. Clearly, I want, if we're in a fight, like you go to win it, right? But at the same time, I can't help but think, like, man, I mean, those are people on the other side trying to do the same thing, right? It's a weird concept.
yeah.
You go back in history and you look in like World War II. Was it World War II or World War I? I might be misquoting myself here, but in Christmas, like they took a break,
Yeah,
right? And the
World
Germans
One.
I mean, literally they're having Christmas together, and it's like, all right, ring the bell, back to fighting, because then then it's a job again. It's a crazy thing that I don't think you can truly comprehend unless you've been a part of it. I know I can't. And so that's why I love picking the brain of people that have been a part
Well,
of it.
I can tell
And
you they're not going to be celebrating Christmas in Iran. That's not going to happen.
no,
There
no.
will be
Well,
no break
if
there.
we're still there at Christmas, I think there's gonna be a lot of pissed off people.
But this this particular effort, like the minute that it happened, I was like, the might of the United States military, and after what happened in Venezuela, I was like, this is the best military in the world. Like
Hands
it's
down.
like not even close. And so for me, like if I'm in the military right now, like I see this and I have absolute confidence in everything that I've gone through training wise and what have you.
Yeah.
And like there's we've got special forces in places we don't even know about. And guarantee you, best soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors
Yeah.
in the world. And also, and this is, you cannot forget about Space Force, because they are talking about consistently about like weapons coming from above.
Well, did you hear that I actually one of the generals was talking about, I think it might have been the Joint Chiefs chairman, was saying
Yeah, the
this all
fourth time.
started with space and cyber before it even, like, I was like, I mean, that's how crazy advanced this. And can we just talk about, though, and again, get rid of all political views. You have to actually admire the skill set of certain people, whether you agree with the skill set or not. The Israelis, they are so good at getting to any foreign leader. And they keep tricking people into getting into gathering places and they take them all out. I'm just like, the intelligence that country is capable of gathering. And I know we helped them with it, but from a military standpoint, like their operational success and their operational prowess about how they put things together and these string, and it's like these string of events that all work together. Like, again, just and I've experienced such a small part of military life with through being my grandfather, my brothers, but even just through building homes and all the military people I know, USO tours and stuff like that. But your perspective for someone that was in it, I view that, I'm like, my goodness, that is a skill. Like, that is a talented group of people. So I can imagine knowing more of the ins and outs, how cool that probably is to see all those chain of events, hit their targets.
I know this. We have, the only way we can be defeated is on the inside. That's it. So if the strategy, the enemy strategy is they've already tried to call out people to start making attacks here, and I just don't think that's going to work, man. I just think it's going to happen. I mean, we're probably going
Depends
to
on
have
where you're
attacks
at.
here.
Ain't gonna happen out in the country, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel like the country has made a turn,
Yeah,
and is definitely more vigilant and not afraid to be vigilant.
I would agree. I think, like, again, I look at, again, the way my grandfather used to speak about it, and he's not with us now, but I think he would be one of those guys to be like, "Yep, we're finally back on top."
Well, I don't know. I hope this ends soon. It is not good ever to be at war and to risk to risk people's lives. So I do hope and pray that
Agreed.
it's over soon.
Shout out to every man and woman serving, every family member. Godspeed and get home safe.
It is the absolute worst for the family.
Yeah,
It's horrible, and for those poor families who had to get that knock on the door, I'm sorry.
yeah, it sucks.
And on that note, good. It's a hard note to end on, but I think it's important to be somber every now and then.
Yeah, and I think it reminds us to say thank you, right? When I look at these moments right there, and this was told to me by one of the board members for our foundation. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he said, "We will always fight on the road," right? So he's like, "We will always be the road team, so the fight's never here. So we don't have to worry about, we can sit at home, gripe, do what we want to do." And I think that's when I see these moments and see these conflicts happen, and they're obviously, thousands of miles away, it makes me want to say thank you. When I see someone in uniform or a vet, just thank you. Thank you for signing up to go on the road and allow me to sit here and raise my kids and take full advantage of every American freedom that has come our way.
And just want to remind everyone who disagrees with things politically, just remember, those who serve have no choice. They signed up as a volunteer to serve this country with enemies, foreign and domestic. Done that said. That's it.
God bless America.
America. See y'all next week. Cheers.
Cheers.